Well, hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Lee is still feeling under the weather.
Under the weather and having trouble seeing.
He's got I don't know, I think it's a clogged tear duct, but we call them styes, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It just done. It over the past couple of days, it's got worse and worse, but today it finally swole up. Looks like it's ready to pop.
Have you been down to the doctor yet?
I don't do the doctor. I got some sty, I guess, ointment or whatever for it, and I got to looking at the ingredients. All it is 31% mineral oil and petroleum jelly. Like, heck, I can make that.
I got some used motor oil outside if you want to use that. All them oils. I did probably the dumbest thing ever today, right? So, this week was the first week where I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday work with Tuesdays and Thursdays off. And, I started cleaning the apiary up, getting it looking good. And lo and behold, if I didn't realize I left something in the grass after I ran over it with the lawnmower, like the side that's between the house and the hives there.
Wasn't a bottom board, huh? Or a hive tool?
No, it was a dog. Worse. It was worse. I ran over a plumbing snake, one of those, like the stick ones, where you just, because I've got the clean out there that goes to the septic tank. So I had to run it through there because we had a clog, but I left it out there and the grass was tall around it, and I ran over it and I found it with the mower.
Not the way you wanted to.
Well, I shut off the mower part and I backed up and I drove around to the backyard, and all I was doing was stretching the coils, right? Pulling the coils out. So it was like a big long spring. And so now I got to go get some metal snips. I've got some somewhere. I just have to find them or go buy another set so I can cut them off of the blades, and it should be good. But I don't know. I smoked I thought I had gotten it off of there, and I smoked the belt. So I don't know if the belt is like totally done now, or it probably will be because that's just how, we do things.
Yeah, about to say, when it gets like that, you might as well replace it because it's just going to tear up halfway through cutting next time.
I mean, I've been through 2 sets of blades out there this year because of the way that, there's pieces of stick and it's sandy soil, but yeah, it was just kind of one of those things. And let me see if I can show this.
Joe, you got an idea there. Instead of having to try to cut all that stuff out, drop the blade and it comes right out.
Well, yeah, and I thought that same thing. However, of course, the bolt that's on the bottom that holds the blade on has metal wrapped around it, right? Like a wire. So I would have to cut it anyway. So Yeah, it was this area right back here where I fell victim. But I started, stacking all my stuff up over here, trying to get it organized. I'm actually, it looks like it's sitting on the ground, but it's not. I took the crate that the uncapper came in, because it has like, I don't know, it's not 2x4s, but it's like 1x2. It's like 1 inch thick, or 1x4 or something like that. That was used to, bolt things together on the crate. And I've got it flipped down to where it's just a square of plywood that's standing off the ground a little bit with the 1x. And so I've used it kind of like ground cover to keep the grass from growing up in it and everything, and just started stacking it up. Let me see if I've got, so that's one side there. No junk, guys. No stacks of junk here in here anymore.
Got it looking good.
So let's see. Yep, that's the other side. I still have to do around them and pick some more junk up. I did pick these boxes up and stuff. I went back out with the trash bag and picked all the old Apivar strips and all that stuff up, and just trying to de-Sanford and Son my yard a little bit. But it is looking better. Well, thank you. Yeah, we did. We got some rest. People have been commenting, "Oh, you look refreshed." I feel refreshed. Sometimes you just got to unplug. I didn't answer very many phone calls. I didn't talk to very many people. Just wanted to get down there, spend time with the wife, and
sometimes just a different scenery. I mean, even though, say, you went down there to work, just a different scenery could be relaxing sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely was. We had a great time. The food was amazing. All those mud pond crustaceans that I must ate 20 pounds of shrimp while I was down there. It seemed, I swear down there they would sell you shrimp at breakfast, but I didn't see shrimp and grits on the menu, or it probably would have been eaten for breakfast.
You probably could have asked for it, and I guarantee they would have had it.
Yeah, it'll take you 30 minutes because we got to heat up the oil, but we'll get we'll get it ready. And then went to Dirt Roosters, spent some time there. Tim and Hannah came up Saturday night, and then Randy and Miss Elizabeth came out. We went to, we all went to eat together. So we had a good little time there, man. It was fun. I wish you could have made it, because I know you had made plans to go, and Mr. Gandy was gonna come down, but he got had some issues. He couldn't come.
Yeah, I was planning on it. Just I wasn't feeling it.
And you know what? By that time in the week, by the time I got back to the room and laid down, I was done. I mean, it was like out, but had a good time, and hope to do it again. So there's a good chance that I'm going to be in Manitoba for the Manitoba Beekeepers Association meeting in February. So just baby steps, working towards moving that, and got some things working after the stream there, or stream after the show. So we're going to see how it's going to go. Hopefully there's a chance, Lee. There's a chance. It may be a slim chance right now because I haven't gotten confirmation, but there's a chance that Randy Oliver might be joining us on a stream.
That'd be nice.
So,
I felt part of that the other night when you were talking about it.
So it'll be interesting. Him and the owner, CEO of BePro, with Pro Nukes and stuff, they've got a new product out, a new foundation, which I thought was kind of interesting. Charles Lindler, and I'd let him talk about it, but it essentially is a foundation, but every piece of foundation has a hexagon section on both sides of the frame that is drone comb size frame comb. So when they draw it out and the queen gets the laying, that the only two things are going to go in there, right? Honey or drones. So their thought is that when it's, let's say, July and the queen's still laying, but really not producing that many drones. It almost forces her to have drones on every frame that she lays on, because it's in the area that she would typically lay her brood pattern up. So, is some neat stuff that is out there now that's being worked on, and it seems to be promising. So we'll see what happens with it. Hey, Danae. So who all we got here tonight, Lee? We got Danae, we got Michael, Shane, JNDS. Rex Lancaster sent me a message saying that he will not be on very many streams because, he's a professional Santa Claus. And he is down in Texas. Every year he goes to Houston to a mall. They pay him to be Santa, to take pictures with all the little kitties and everything. So talking to him, he says that playing Santa for that month and a half or whatever it is he makes more doing Santa than he does all the rest of the year on his job and everything. So I'm like, you go. Get that Christmas spirit, Robert's here. Who else is here? I'm probably missing a bunch of people.
Michael, Tritone, that J&D's, that's Jack. I believe that's Danae's husband.
And then we got Robert and Tracy from Three Oaks, and we already said Michael,
Alex,
Lagrange,
Randy.
Who else we got here?
Richard, Shane,
Stone River. We got Pastor Larry's in there. Gray Homestead. Let me see. Joey Rawls. Morgan's on there. Michael Shane. Bruce Brown is in there. Dennis Lintz. And am I missing somebody? I'm trying not to miss anybody. Brian from Flower Street. South Mapper's on there. Grayson's in there. I met a very young beekeeper. What'd you buy, Danae? I met a very young 8-year-old beekeeper, and his name was Increase. And I was like, Increase? He said, yes, sir. I said, are you the beekeeper? He said, well, me and my daddy. So I was like, yes, sir. I said, do you have any swarm lure? No, sir. I need to get some. I said, well, come on over with me. And I gave him a bottle of swarm lure, and he came by later, and he was looking at the queen marking pins I had sitting on the table there. I'm like, you got any queen marking pins? No, sir. We don't have any yet. I said, well, tell you what, pick those up right there and you can have those, right? So I kind of hooked him up with what I could there. You got the Lyson honey bottler. Did you get the one like mine, or did you get the water jacketed one? And so I'm telling you, this kid's like a marketing genius. He had a t-shirt, right? And it said, the name of his honey is Increase Your Sweetness. His name being Increase, right? And he was there both days, and they went to every lecture that was there. They sat in every lecture, and I'm sitting there for an 8-year-old kid. Me at 8 years old, I would have been bored to tears. I'd have been like, Dad, when his dad wasn't there, his sister brought him. So it was like, I would have been bored to tears at 8 years old if my dad would have made me sit in lectures for 2 days, right? So it was pretty impressive. I said, you know what? Your name would be a perfect YouTube channel, right? He's like, oh, I'll have to ask my parents if I can do that, be a YouTuber. I said, because there might be, thank you, Steve. I said, there might be another 8-year-old out there that says, if you can do it, I can do it, right? I want to keep bees. And let's face it, if your kid bugs you enough, you're probably going to get him a beehive, And so, yeah, lots of great people, lots of commercial beekeepers, more commercial beekeepers than I thought would be out there. And I did get a reality check, Lee, because I asked a lot of people. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise. I asked a lot of people if they watched Beekeeping YouTube. I'll say 95 to 99% of them said no. And it was like, well, if it, if you start getting a big head on YouTube, just remember 95 to 97% of the people out there don't watch Beekeeping YouTube. So you might get a little bit of a following or something on YouTube, but a lot of people don't even watch it. So we thank you for, thank you guys for watching and following and being part of the YouTube experience. But definitely a different thought process with some of those guys.
Like you talking about everybody here watching and everything. I mean, me and you probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this without everybody in here watching. I mean, if not, we'd just be on the telephone talking to each other.
Well, there was a lot of time
to enjoy our evening with everybody in the comments.
So we've been doing this how long now? So this is the 11th month, right? So in 3 days, it'll be November 11th. November 10th. So
March the 10th of last year.
So over a year and a half. And outside of, I think, twice that we didn't go live. In a year.
I believe total, like, no live at all on a Tuesday, 2 to 3 times. Now, I have missed a couple.
Yeah, and I've missed 1 or 2, but there's always been one, right? So that's the thing. And there's been times that you and I have sat here and talked about it, and we're like, man, we just are drained and don't feel like it.
Not feeling it.
But we still go.
Yeah.
Because we know there's people there wanting to talk bees, right?
You got to remember, somebody took up our slack. I believe it was last week.
Tim and Hannah did it. So yeah, a lot of the commercial beekeepers don't have time, but you'd be surprised how many of the you can put, if you got the 18-gallon one, Danae, you should be able to put a creamer attachment on it, because that's the same setup that Brian at Flower Street has.
Sounded like a good deal right there. Good Christmas presents.
I want one. I'm just too cheap to buy one right now.
Which one's that? The cream attachment or the
instant vape? I want one, but my Pro Vape still works, right? So
no, instant vape's on that side, somewhere right there.
Yeah, I think it's like anything. We can make something as simple or as hard as you want to make it, right? Beekeeping in itself, there's a lot of people that just put bees in a box, and that's it, right?
I think we need to apologize to Sarah here.
Well, I'm sorry, Sarah. You found us. Well, hopefully it was a happy accident.
I think most of the time pretty good. Every now and then, anybody's going to have an off day or an off night.
Oh, yeah. And, I want the instant vape, however you want to say it, tomato. But it's going to be one of those, either I'll just splurge on it like at the show or something. Sarah, I'm hearing it'll either be one of those things I pick up at a show, or it'll be because mine died, right? And I need one. I don't typically like emergency stuff like that, because then now you're waiting and you puts everything off another week or something like that. But in that case, I have one that works. Oh yeah, there's tons and tons.
Well, see, I kept my old original Larabis. I can't hardly point here.
Right there, yes, yeah.
Right there. just in case, hey, you might drop something or something goes wrong. I have a backup.
Does he have a cheaper model now of the Instant Vap? Because he had the older style one, like Lee's got there behind his left shoulder, and on the other side he's got the more expensive one.
I got a bunch of stuff in the background in the way too.
You almost got more. You almost have more vaporizers than hives.
Just about. I don't know. I think I got more hive boxes in my office than the apiary, probably.
So I'm gonna try something, Lee.
Uh-oh.
Let me lift this. I've showed this a couple times now, but I've got the 40-pound box of. I've got two of them, but the Ultra B Plus with real pollen, the patties.
I hadn't tried the plus. I have had the original.
Well, I did get a bucket of the powder as well, but I'm gonna try the Grub-X on the patties to see if that helps out at all, and we'll see. I mean, I went back and watched the video, so now I know it all. I know as much as the doctor that was giving the speech. Well, not as much. I know what he told me, right? On the video. So
yeah, today we've been under burn ban here for several months, and I have boxes stacking up everywhere that I can't burn, and it was just too many to throw in the trash can at the road.
I burned today. My wife's like, it's spreading. That's the idea. It's the upload button. Hey, just put it out there. You'll get better as you do them.
Somebody will
watch. For me, I don't get better as I do them. I just keep doing them. But I do lives, so lives in the bee yard, lives everywhere. But so obviously, I know you've been not feeling well, and you've been under the weather and working lots of work. Have you been out to the bees?
Not in about a week. I went out there in the hives that I don't have any supers on. I did vaporize all of them. The other ones I still got supers on, hadn't pulled, but even the lack of rain that we've been having, the goldenrod is still blooming out. Mainly around like the drainage areas because the ground stays moist there. So they are blooming and the bees are nonstop flying. When they come out of the hive, you can see them heading straight for the canal areas.
Okay.
So they are bringing nectar in.
Well, I've got, I put the pollen sub out in the tube feeder. They're not hitting that. But they are hitting the feed, the liquid feed, but not crazy like they were back in August, right? Or something like that. When I was down in Mississippi, they had a lot, it looked like privet to me. But it was just from the road, right? Trees blooming, kind of like the Japanese privet that I have here. So maybe it was aster that I was looking at. So
I mean, privet's generally more of a spring growth,
right? But this crazy weather we've had, where it's been like this is warmer for us than it normally would be this time of year.
Now, is it a little bit taller and got a lot of white kind of coming off the top?
Yep.
That might be a bone set.
Bone set. Okay.
If you look at the stalk of it, it should have alternating leaves. Like 2 leaves would be going left and right. The next 2 above it would be going the opposite direction. And then you'll have big white bloom coming off the top. Maybe
that's what it is then. I just know it looked a lot from the road. You know, I've seen it from the highway and driving down the road, and it looked like a privet-y type of plant to me. So that's why I was calling it privet, but it could have been something else. And, you know, everybody's having a little bit warmer. So I heard that when something does like a double bloom, right, that the next year that it either doesn't bloom at all or it blooms and doesn't produce nectar or something crazy like that. And I don't know the validity of that. I just remember reading that somewhere. But so it's going to be interesting. I also heard at the show there's a rumor, and I believe it was the fella from Date Ant. He brought a pallet with some sugar on it that that the sugar prices are supposed to. Now this is rumor, guys. So that they're supposed to go up to $1 a pound in 2024.
Dang.
So if that's the case,
$1 a pound?
A pound. So it's almost going to double. And I don't know why it would do that, but that is what they were saying. And that's kind of what the guy that brought the pallet of sugar down said he found from his sugar people. And then Todd at Loma Vista told me earlier in the week that the refinery up, I don't know if it was upstate California or Oregon or Washington, that area, closed down this week. So it's going to be an interesting year for sure. And at that rate, I might be trucking sugar all over the country, totes, right? Stop by somebody, hey, you want a tote? It's 72 cents now, really? In New York or everywhere? I usually get it at Walmart.
That's what I'm about to check now.
Finding it?
$18.76 for a 25-pound bag.
Ooh. 18.76 divided by 25, 75 cents a pound.
Now, I think it was this time last year, maybe a little earlier, we were paying like $10.50 to $11 for a 25-pound bag.
Maybe they'll have Black Friday sales on sugar, and we're going to need it. We will need it. I guess at that point you'll probably see bee clubs. Malcolm says $1 a pound, he might be out of business. So, yeah, Walmart's cheaper than Sam's typically, and it looks like Costco's cheaper than Sam's is.
What I found here, Sam's by my house anyway, they don't carry the off-brand sugar. All they carry is Domino's brand.
Ours carries the 10-pound bag of their brand, right? But
I hadn't checked on 10-pound. I just seen the 25-pound. They only carry the Domino. Now, if I go a half mile down the road to the little neighborhood Walmart, they have Domino or the Surefine.
Well, I've got 14.
Or Great Value. I don't know what's his Surefine.
I've got 14 buckets of syrup left, so that should take me a little bit. 71 cents 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, that's going to be something to keep an eye on, guys. And it may be something that, depending how it's going next honey harvest, that you might be like, might be saying, well, we might have to leave a little extra honey on there to offset the cost of the feeding, right? I feed mine yeast sugar. Yeah. Yep. Only a tote for you would be about $5,000. If I had to deliver it from South Carolina all the way out to California.
Yeah, I believe honey is going up because 2 years ago for a 55 or 5-gallon bucket here, it was, I think, 165, 175. Last year, I believe they went up to 185. The beginning of this year, they was talking about 200 here. Now they're at 225.
You know, that last one you just posted up there, that is true. People will start using more honey for sweetener, or we'll get another stevia or Splenda or some kind of thing, NutraSweet, something to come out that on the market, right, as a sweetener. They had what was it? You remember back in I want to say it was the 80s when they had they were sending out gumballs with NutraSweet in it to your mailbox so you could try it. So you don't remember that? So when NutraSweet came out, they were mailing out gumballs to everybody so they could try NutraSweet to see that it didn't taste different than sugar. But yeah, it was another marketing ploy. Let me see. I charged $350 for a 5-gallon bucket in Tulsa, and they've already sold out. Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I would have to empty out all my jars to fill buckets back up at this point. I've got 10 gallons left in my bottler, and I've got everything jarred up other than that, even the hot honey. $222 for a 5-gallon bucket there. So, Larry, you need to send all of your honey at $222 a bucket over there to Oklahoma and sell it for $350. Let me see. Aspartame. Let me see. Trying to read everything. So $300 for a 5-gallon bucket in Ohio. That's right. If you go on vacation to Oklahoma and take buckets of honey and fund it and go back. Well, how long have we been going? 37 minutes. You want to add a link? Or you want me to add a link? I got to add the link, don't I?
I can drop it in. You can
pin
it up.
Let me see. Someone make a comment so I can there you go. Get it over the heart. How'd y'all remove the heart? You remember?
Yep. You got to go into the YouTube studio side.
Oh. Ugh. And there's something you got to do over there?
Yeah, you got to go through the back room into settings and customizations.
Yeah, it sounds like too much work at this moment. Rural King sugar is 69.9 cents. I don't gamble, so it'd be cheaper for me. But yeah, tell me about it. I could have almost bought another uncapper. About $2,500. That's what the casino got from me.
That's what they charged you to play their games?
Yep. I didn't drink enough alcohol to pay for $2,500 though. That's for sure. 1,200 pounds for 50 cents a pound. That's not bad. $215.
See, you could have got 5 Instavates for that.
I know, right? I could have. Of course, I could have only got 2.5 because that 2.5 would have been batteries. So.
Yeah, on batteries and chargers, that'll get you. I paid almost as much for the battery and the charger as I did the Instavate.
But sugar in Canada, I think, is just as expensive. It's a little bit cheaper. It is a little bit cheaper from what they're saying. But you still got to buy it at like Costco, right? Brad buys his at Costco. Ian buys his by the tractor trailer load, I think. No, he doesn't. Sorry, I'm lying. Ian uses syrup, so he buys tankers of syrup. Who's this guy? See, we go from hitting the button on each other to not knowing who's going to push it stream to stream. Alex, hey.
Good evening.
You doing all right?
Oh, yeah.
How's the creamed honey business going?
Slow, but it's picking up a bit of momentum because I got to get the word of mouth going.
Right.
But like my my basswood creamed honey took perfectly. Like it's now like solid cream.
Right.
I took it to my neighbor, and he basically screamed that it was so good, and he wanted more. And like he takes care of his mom, and the old lady got out and looked at us, wondering why the heck his son was screaming at me.
Did you?
Oh, that's so good.
Did he end up buying some more?
No, not this time.
Not yet.
Well, he's a friend, so I give him more than I sell him.
It's a bad business model.
I know, but he's a friend.
He should buy it
He's
because
pretty much the only friend that gets that much free.
He should buy it because he's a friend. I have a good
Oh,
friend
he does buy a lot. Don't get me wrong.
that buys honey from me, and all those 5-gallon buckets you see around. He also brings me those, so he does pretty good for me. I think I actually sold some honey today too. Someone just showed up in the middle of the day. It's funny, people will show up in the middle of the day during the week when I'm typically not even home, and they're looking for honey. Oh, the cacao, or is that the cinnamon?
Nice.
Good in coffee.
The chocolate one is good in coffee.
Yep. Gives it kind of like, I guess,
Like a hot chocolate.
it gives me like a hot mocha or something flavor.
Now that's too much sun in the background of this next picture here.
Everybody get your shades on.
That's not. Where are you at, Arizona? Because that is not Ohio.
Me?
Yeah, you. I see that sun shining down on the apiary there.
It's pitch black over here.
It's Ohio. Just a background picture.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it because you were saying it was like warmer than usual there right now as well.
Yeah, it got up to 73 today.
Nice.
76 tomorrow, and it's been low 70s the whole week.
We had 85 today. Let's see what tomorrow is going to be. 85 again tomorrow.
All right, we got 86 people watching and only 39 thumbs up. There's a problem with that. You can do better than that, beekeepers. Hit that button.
Yeah, Brian, I hate that time change too. I mean, by the time I get home, it's already dark. And I leave it dark going to work, and I come home from work and it's dark.
Just do like me. Just stop working. Go outside.
I got expensive hobbies.
Yeah, I'm waiting for June 1st, Bob. That's when I'm going to 3 days a week.
Yeah, really? You're starting to scale it back next year?
Yep.
There we go. We jumped up a little bit on the thumbs up. Appreciate that, guys. The hopefully, if things keep going the way they're going, then next year I'll be able to focus again full time just on the bees, which is what I eventually want to do. But it's just one of those things where you got to kind of time it, right? You got to have some money saved away, because even if you're doing it full time, you got to have something to pay the bills until that honey comes in, right? Or until you sell a ton of nukes, or until you sell packages or something like that to help offset the bills. But I mean, this year I was just working all the time. I couldn't even, to be honest with you, I couldn't even really pay attention to the bees that much, right? Come home and take a look at them a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 hives, maybe 1 row in the apiary, 4 or 5 hives, whatever's on that stand. And then next day come home and try to do the next one, or, trying to manage that makes it a little bit more difficult. Then what typically happened this year is it seemed like when I was off on the weekend and I was kind of planning to do things on the weekend, well, then the rain, or something like that happened. So it's, I smacked that like with my blue wrench. That's funny. So it's one of those challenges, right? So I had someone contact me 2 days ago now, wanting me to move a hive, and they said, "Oh, and one of our friends has had 40 bee colonies on their property, but they're not keeping bees anymore, and they're looking to give away the equipment." So I was looking at a couple ways to spin that. Well, we could set them up over here, and I could populate them with bees and just use this as a second apiary, right? Or maybe I'll happily go load up equipment if it's free, because he said given away. So if they're giving it away, then that's one thing. If they want to sell it, then it depends on how the equipment looks, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, what kind of shape is the equipment in?
Mm-hmm. And they had the one colony they want to move. I said, "You want to move it 30 miles to another place?" And you see, and they called me because they can't move it. So it's like, okay, you can't move it. You need to hire somebody to come move a bee colony for you, which I'll do for a fee, right? Or you're close enough to me that I could just buy that hive from you, pick it up, bring it here 10 minutes away, right? And drop it off here. But it hadn't been, because the girl's dad that was keeping bees passed away. And when that happened, it's been like 2 years since anybody has worked that hive, right? So they're probably pissed off bees like all the other ones I've got. And then you start ripping that apart, and you don't know if they've got all the frames in it or and haven't been mite treated in 2 years, right? And it's like maybe longer than that, just depending. But it's been at least 2 years. So so that would be something that, yeah, I'll move them, but I'm going to go there and treat them first before I move them. So,
well, look if there's a colony first, then treat them.
Yeah.
Well, they said there's bees going in and out of it, but that doesn't mean a lot, right? That means that there might be honey in there, and there just might be bees robbing
at the
it.
same time, I had to go to that beekeeper's house earlier this year, or to his wife's house. The beekeeper passed away. Anyway, they hadn't been messed with in, like you say, about 2 years. And I seen a couple of hives there, bees flying in and out. So I stapled some screen over the front, loaded them up, brought them home. She called me back and she said, "They got another one here. The bees are moving now." Well, when I was there was no bees flying in or out. I went back the next day, and I mean, they were just nonstop flying. So I ended up getting, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 hives total. But same thing, I went over there with my Instavape, treated everything before I even brought them back to my apiary.
Right. I don't need another mite bomb in my yard. Right. Yeah, if they're still alive, that would be great. And I'm just going off what the guy was saying on the phone, and he was actually out of town calling me because he was in the airport and trying to figure out what to do with them. So I said, well, I told him to call me back today because I was off, and he didn't, that I saw. So hopefully if they do call, we'll see what happens with it. Yeah, that's true. No treatment is still alive. There'd be some strong bees, but you don't know how many times like they superseded the queen or any other issues they might have in the colony till you get out there and tear it apart. And that's something.
There could even be a swarm that showed up a few months ago.
True.
And they're close enough to where I would have to look at it on the map. There might be close enough to where it might have been one of my swarms. You know, I don't even know. But if it's that far, but it's one of those things that, you know, when you go out there, you get like you did, Lee, you pulled the hive apart, you saw what was going on in there. And
if the queen's marked red, she's definitely from this year.
Yeah, she would definitely be mine too, because I went through and marked them.
I didn't find any marked queens in them, but like you were saying, you got to check the equipment. I mean, the equipment was in decent shape, but they were missing a few frames inside, so they had some wild comb drawn out.
Might be one of those things where you take a whole new setup out there and just transfer them to new boxes and everything, and I'll carry these off and throw them in the burn pile for you.
Well, the only bad thing with it missing comb or missing frames, and they got the wild comb in there. If you're trying to dig all that out, depending on the temperature, if it's hot and that wax is kind of real soft, you go try to pull that out, it wants to fall apart on you, and then you don't know exactly where that queen is yet either, and you don't want to take a chance of crushing her.
Right. That's true. Well, that'd be my luck too. Let me see. I'm just reading the chat here. 24 ounces, 24 4-ounce tins of furniture polish. Gonna have about $3 in each. 4-ounce tins. Yeah, that is a good question. I'm sure Brian will throw something on there. Let you know on a price for that. I've never sold furniture polish like that.
Was that Philip in here the other night that had some tins?
Philip did have some tins of furniture polish he made.
I'd say you might be a good one to ask too. Him and Brian both.
So, Alex, you got yours all buttoned up for the winter, waiting on Santa Claus to come?
Yeah, they've been buttoned up for a month now.
Really? Just totally shut off? Are they still playing?
The release date of my last video, but yeah, almost a month. I mean, I haven't had anything to do beekeeping wise for quite a while, unfortunately, which makes weekends kind of mind-numbingly boring. I'm used to work all weekend, and then all of a sudden there's nothing to do.
Well,
Yeah, but Alex, that's not a bad thing.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Tom?
I said, that's not a bad thing. My bees were bound up for 2 weeks, and this week they're flying every day. And there's nothing out there. So I put 4.5 gallons of 2-to-1, and they took it down in 2 days.
How much are they maintaining the weight? Because I'm starting to see with some of the people that I've talked to up north are starting to experience some of the things that we go through, right? So they get them fed up and they get the weight on there, and then it gets warm. The bees get out flying, so they're eating and consuming a bunch in the colony,
right?
Which makes it difficult. Not really this time of year, but as the end of the winter comes around and you're starting to get into the spring and they want to start brooding and stuff like that, well, they go through a lot of resources, and that's the time of the year they start starving out, right?
Right. I'm making more sugar patties up tomorrow. Just I'll peek in each month, see if I need to put another block in.
Yeah, double check. It's been 3 weeks, not a month.
Close enough. That's bee math. We rounded up.
Yeah, Brian, mine are still bringing in a lot of pollen, I believe, off the goldenrod and different stuff here. Which I've noticed some of the goldenrod, it is finally starting to kind of darken up and getting ready to die off, but it hadn't yet. We still got some blooming.
Here's Sawmill Charlie.
Hey,
Charlie. How's it going?
Hey, Charlie. How's it going?
all right.
Hey, Charlie. Doing the 70s today?
Yeah, I think it did hit 70 today.
Yeah, you probably got 2 or 3 more days of it.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, it's going to see, how is it? It's going to dip down in the 50s and then kind of come back up for the weekend around 50. I mean, Sunday it was like, what was it? 70. It was at least 70 Sunday. And it's like 57 right now. And so, it's just
Do any of you guys follow this like the pollen index thing? So like I get on my computer, like it'll say it has high pollen counts and stuff like that. Do you guys follow that? And have any of you seen a correlation to the amount of pollen your bees bring in when there's a lot of pollen in the air. Because, I mean, you would assume that if there's pollen in the air, it's coming off of the plants, right? So I'm curious to see, because right now it's saying we're going to have high pollen counts. And it says main allergy is weed allergies, but, you know, technically golden
Yeah,
weed.
that's what it's saying here. 53 pollen count. I don't know whatever that means anything to me. It, you know, I mean, you got to, bees are selective. As far as temperatures, it's going to be in the 70s and in the mid 50s and high 50s through the weekend. But
Well, I put out some powder in the tube today and a little bit in that bucket that I've got laying over, and the bees really weren't, they didn't really.
that's the best indicator right there. If you can put some pollen powder out, if they're not on it, then there's plenty of fresh coming in. If they're on it, like all over it, then there's nothing coming in. That's your best indicator for bees.
So tomorrow it's saying it's going to be 83 degrees high, 55 degrees low. So, yeah, typical.
It's going to be in the 60s to, you know, maybe high 70s tomorrow. I'm not sure. It was around 60 or 70 today. It's been decent weather. But as far as like, you know, I heard you guys talking about feeding and whatever, and people starting to refeed like up here. And the big thing that I find in my club that I'm in, you have some people like me, I feed heavy in the middle of October and I'm done, you know, and the bees are completely filled. And then you have the other camp where they like to feed, I'll say throughout the winter, and that'll be putting feeding shims on, putting sugar bricks on, or they're putting fondant on or something like that. And then the third camp is they have this notion that the bees, let's say like mine, they had spotted lanternfly honey. And I just got done watching a presentation to another bee club with the lady up at Penn State talking about spotted lanternfly and what she was involved, and where our flow ends in end of June and spotted lanternfly honey starts coming in at the end, or our flow ends at the end of June. Spotted lanternfly honey starts to come in at the end of July through August and September. And it correlates exactly the way my bees did. And they put a super honey on, but is it going to get them through the winter? No, it's not. Not just that super honey.
I've put out in feed, it's a decimal, it's 4.88 gallons per colony on average out of my tote. And
Okay.
So
about
and
five, almost
about
5 gallons.
almost 5 gallons per colony.
Right.
But some of that I fed as 1-to-1, and some of it I fed as 2-to-1. So the gallons aren't exactly right. I'm just going by how much syrup I bought in the tote and how much I have left. Right.
Right.
Out of all my hives, only 2 took less than 6 gallons of 2-to-1. The rest, they all slurped it up.
Right. Well, what I was getting at is, for me, I mean, I had the 12 honey hives. They all had, pretty much all of them had a full super of lanternfly honey in there. And then when I got done with them, I think that let's see, I fed them 4 times, 2, 4, let's see, 2, 4, that's 8 gallons approximately. Let's say around 7 gallons of sugar water of 2-to-1, or slightly under 2-to-1 actually. And it got them to the point where the last filling, they might have had about an inch or so of sugar water in that one side that they just wasn't going to take down. Or maybe if I left it on there for a week or two, it might have taken it down. But I started taking that syrup and then giving it to the other nukes that were taking it down. And I just kept doing that to where when they stopped taking it down, then I moved that feeder off and then poured what was in it onto the feeders that the bees were still pulling the sugar water down. And now everything is completely full, and they're packed out.
Yesterday, I put on the a pound on every one of the colonies of the super DFM or the now I want to say pollen, but it's not. It's fondant patty on every one of the colonies with the Apis biologics in it. So, going to be curious to see how fast they go through that. And
well, I look at the like the Apis or the or the fondant. To me, that would be of course, you don't get any winter though, and at least the way I understand it. Where me, that would be something that I would put on in February, where they're brooding up and they're consuming more. Listen to what Brad said. Where he said he was worried if they brood up, then they're going to eat more feed. So he doesn't want them to have any brood in there so they can get through that 4 to 6 months in the barn.
Well, the difference between him not having brood, that's an impossibility here, right?
Yeah, right.
So my bees are going to.
But listen, but see, this is the thing. I've had beekeepers up here. Oh, I have 40 pounds of honey on the hive back in September, I'll say, or September, and maybe left it on in August, late August or whatever, and then they come back today, and the hives are all light, and I'm like, well, yeah. I says they hadn't been sitting there dormant; they've been brooding for 3 months, and they're gonna eat it up.
Brooded up for winter, and then they went through a dearth, so they was burning what stores they had.
Exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, some of these beekeepers have been doing it for a while, and I'm like, wise up, people. If no foods are coming in, they're going to eat what's in the hive.
Right.
And you better be, and what's lucky for me is the spotter lanternfly. It's terrible I found out through this here program tonight from the lady who's the head of Penn State that it affects the grape crop. Well, that's because what the lanternfly excrete, they take their beak and they ram it into, let's say, a leaf vein. They suck out the nectar out of the tree or sap, which is a lot of sugar water. And they only take out of that sugar water, I'll say, minerals and, vitamins and whatever else they can get out of there with a little bit of sugar water. And the rest of that sugar water, they don't really need. So what do? They pee it out, and it goes all over leaves and stuff like that. And if it's not sucked up, it makes a mold. And that's what kills the grape leaves and stuff like that. That's why it's detrimental to the grape crop. And but that's why, and I've seen it last year when we had a lot of them. The leaves were dripping. It looked like somebody had just rained, and there was little driplets of water coming off the leaves, and that was nectar is what it was. And that's why the bees are making so much honey. Now, there are not as many of them this year as last year, but we're still getting a benefit out of it.
I think Joey comes on the streams because he wants to get out of the house and just go out and
I think he's in the house, aren't you?
No, he's out. He's out in his camper.
Oh, is that his camper? Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I
dog house.
Hey, Charlie, a little heads up. You might want to check your hives later on this week. I checked 2 of mine today, and they're rebrooding because it's been so warm.
Yeah, well, I went out there Sunday. I was doing a little bit of a video. I found some brood in one of my nukes. I actually checked like 3 of my problem children, and some of them didn't have any brood in them, and I'm not sure whether I got queen issues already in that hives. And I did find one nuke that had queen. I found the queen and everything else. What's that?
One of them honeybee mason jars.
I'm trying to
okay.
see if I can get it to focus in.
Yeah, it ain't focusing. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
There it
Right,
is.
right
Oh, yeah,
back
it's
up.
all,
There
you
you
can
go.
see it now a little bit.
Collector's edition.
I guess
But,
that's the ones James was talking about.
Next 10 days, we're supposed to be
I got a
anywhere from
box of 'em.
55 up to 80. 80 tomorrow.
Yeah, there's Brian there. He's that's what he does when he drinks beer, like the lanternfly.
I pee out the extra my body doesn't want.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they're complaining about their highs being light right now, and I'm like, well, why didn't you feed back in September or after Labor Day? At least in my area, and all that.
Charlie,
But,
you was talking about that. You mentioned something about that the other night about first time beekeepers not knowing what to do coming into summer and spring. I made the comment. I don't know if you saw it. I know
don't know.
some first year beekeepers that have been first year beekeepers for 7 years.
Yeah, I did see
This guy.
see that.
It's like every year they reset and don't know what to do.
Yeah, I did see that comment in there. I think it was like 5 years they've been first year beekeepers or something.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've noticed that in this one club. There's another chat that I get into before I go on to mine on Friday nights. And it's like this one lady's in there. I understand she's been beekeeping for 5 or 10 years. And I'm like, you don't even know any more now than what you did when you did the first year, type of thing. I don't like to talk bad about anybody, but it's like, come on, people, study. If you want to be a good beekeeper, it takes a lot of studying and stuff to.
Well, when I started beekeeping, I be honest with you, I watched a lot of videos ahead of time, but I was still kind of ignorant to everything, right, that it took, because obviously you need a box and you need some frames and you need some bees, right? And they're going to, at that time, Barnyard Bees made it look so easy to do, right? Oh, just take 2 frames and split it and they're going to grow up. You get a queen and everything works lovely. And, and it works out great, right? And they don't talk about dearth that much. They don't talk about what to do on special situations. And so then you got to start looking for it. And sometimes it's hard to find the information, but if you've been in it for 10 years, you should have a clue, at least a clue, right?
Yeah, but you know what, Bob? I'm relearning this year how to be a southern beekeeper.
Yep. Well,
Because it's been so warm.
I called James and was like, hey, man, I'm having problems. And he's like, well, I don't know if I can help you because of the temperature difference and the time of year you have to do things down here, but let's just go back to the beginning, right? It's just like a refresher. And it's not that I didn't know it, it's just putting it back. Let's go back to doing this, and just starting over type of deal. So, and it was helpful, and he didn't think I was a dumbass, but those are things I do on the phone, right? I don't put that on YouTube. I don't put, that's the edit, right? That's the edit. I do it before I film the video. It's just, hey, I feel like a dumbass. I think this is going on, but that's the, we all make mistakes, right? And do things, blow hives up and stuff like that. Right, Robert? And, yep, that's it. Go in with 100 and come out with 17.
Yeah, a lot of the new beekeepers, they don't take notes or anything too. They just kind of wing it basically. So, I mean, if you take some notes and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then you see something a couple of weeks from then or within the month that, hey, don't look right, you can go back and check your notes and see maybe where you messed up and remember that for next year.
I use my videos that way.
Yeah.
I've got well, you guys all know I've got a friend up the road that calls me every time there's something that he doesn't recognize, which is pretty much, what is this flying thing going in and out of my beehive? Well, that would be a bee, sir. It's that kind of thing. It's like after 5 years, it's like, do you not even know what's going on, right? I mean, not at all. I mean, and doesn't really have the worst part about it. It's not even, you know, failing is definitely part of it, right? It's just that some of the stuff, it's just what bugs me more is when someone calls you and takes your time for 45 minutes and you're explaining something on the phone on how to do it. Then they call you back or why you did something. And then 2 weeks later, they're calling you back and didn't do what they called and wasted your 45 minutes for. And then, you know what I mean? Or, hey, I saw you did a demarree. I'm going to try a demarree on my colony. Great. And then they'd leave the queen excluder out, right? Oh, well, I just added a box and put some boxes in between. So all you did was reverse your boxes then. You didn't even do the demarree, right? So it's just like sometimes that kind of stuff, as far as like, I guess at that point you're kind of mentoring somebody. That's the frustrating part. If you call somebody and take their time, listen, or don't call them. I mean, because if you're not going to do it, yeah, don't be an asshole. That's it. An asshole.
Well, one other place I see new beekeepers mess up, they'll try to start out with one hive and they don't really know if it's doing good or doing bad. If you have at least 2 hives, preferably 3, you have something to compare each one of them to. You might have 2 of them that's doing real good and one's real bad. And then you can see there's a difference, something's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because someone will come in, I want to buy a nuke. Well, are these your first bees? Yep. Well, I recommend getting 2. And then at that point, it sounds like you're a salesperson just trying to sell them another nuke, right? And then you have to explain all those things. Well, how are you going to know if this one's doing good if you've got another one, don't have another one to compare it to? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to get some more equipment. I'll be back next week to get a nuke. Okay. You know, sometimes it's like that, or sometimes it's not.
Well,
One of the most common questions we have on our group is somebody I have a little short video of an orientation flight, just as beautiful as it can be. Or my bees swarming, or am I being robbed? Is my hive being robbed? And it gets asked all the time, and that don't bother me because they don't know, so they're asking. What really bothers me is 5 or 6 more beekeepers will answer the question and have it wrong.
Right.
That's what bothers me. And now who are you going to believe? You're getting 5 different people telling you 5 different things, and who are you going to believe? So I got where, even though it's my group, I'm the one that originated it, I stay out of it.
Right.
It's like I seen something on Facebook and they were, the question was about cane sugar versus beet sugar. And I already know, what Brad has talked about, where beet actually is better than cane. I mean, it's more natural, I guess you would call it, closer to whatever the bees like. But anyway, they were complaining. I think it was more of a pesticide thing, or they sprayed the beets to kill them, or they did something to them, and I'm like, okay, it's like, stay away from this, that kind of a crazy thing. But I'll tell you the best thing. Last week I had a guy come in here. He's getting some lumber, and his buddy was with him. He said, "Oh, look, he got honey here, and all that." And he said, "Well, I ain't buying that. I said, "Why? You diabetic?" Because I figure something like that. "Oh no, you took it from a bee." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Is he vegan? Is he vegan or something?
Something like that. I don't know what the hell you call him, but because he said it's like taking milk from a cow. The milk was only supposed to be for the calf, and the honey was only supposed to be to feed the bees and not to feed us. And I'm like, okay, I ain't going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Other than the fact that,
did you ask him, like, do you eat apples? Do you eat fruit? Do you eat vegetables?
Well, I wasn't even going to get into that argument. I wasn't even going to say that, what? The human race has been taking honey from bees for 2,000 years. Look up on the side of well, like the hieroglyphics on the the pyramids and all that stuff. So if that's what you want to believe, go ahead. Whatever. I don't understand what his methodology was, but
Well, that's what we call a qualifying question, Charlie. When you asked him why, and he said, "Oh, because he just qualified himself as a dumbass." That's you knew right away. Yeah, okay, I know you. That's funny. Charlie, tell him the bees left, and you just took it after they left the colony. So
that's a pretty good idea. No, I just took them out of the hive. The bees left. Whatever. That's right. Yeah. I mean, back in the Egyptian times, I mean, it's been that I've understood, they considered honey actually as a medicine because they didn't understand the properties, but they knew that, you can put it on a cut and it won't let it get infected and all that stuff. So, kind of crazy stuff. I didn't know Jesus ate any honey. I thought he only drank wine.
Yeah, I've had my share of fussy people too. Like on the bottles it says raw honey. Like they may have traces of pollen and wax. And like the lady picks up there's a spot over there and look, it's a particle of wax. Okay, here's that
See, that's how they know it's real when they buy it from me, because it might have a hive beetle in it. It officially came from my colony. It's got a beetle in it. No, I'm just kidding.
So, Larry, is that a vegan? I thought vegan is one where they didn't eat meat or something like that.
Vegan, they don't use any animal products, anything that comes from it.
Well, what's the one that says if it's got a face on it, they don't eat it, or they don't eat it or something like that?
Yeah, the vegan, because they don't do, anything from a face, whether it be cheese, eggs, milk.
Really?
The meat is good, though.
They eat soy.
Okay, whatever. But, I was wondering, I was going to ask him, I said, well, what do you think about me killing them trees for that lumber you just bought?
You should just get some of them bags that Alex talking about for the earth bag house and keep them on a roll there at the shop. So when someone comes in talking about they won't buy honey like that, you just say, okay, so how many dirt bags do you want to build your house with? And they'll question you, and then you're like, well, you don't use anything that's alive, right? So we'll go ahead and get you some of these bags. You can just start scooping some dirt, making the house. Or, they won't use beeswax either.
Yeah, whatever. They can starve to death. Who knows?
Yeah, let them be.
Like Brad said, like the amount of animals that have to be killed to protect the fields that get their precious vegetable is staggering.
I, for the life of me, don't know why people hunt, like especially deer hunt. I mean, I understand why they do it, to put it in the freezer. But down here, you can just go down the road and find 100 dead ones on the that's been hit by a car on the side of the road. And you can fill up your freezer really quickly without having to sit in the tree all day long. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, I think, Tim, he did that. He stopped, hit one. All right, we got suffer. That's what he said. Put it in the freezer there or something. But anyway, as far as feeding the bees, there's different ways of doing it. Different methods, I guess you would say.
I actually paint my swarm traps. They're all painted white, but I camouflaged them with spray paint.
That's kind of what I did this year. I did the exterior primer, and then come back with the spray paint to color them, decorate them, whatever you want to call it, afterwards. Husband.
The reason I camouflaged them, the only reason I did that, I had some in places that people traveling by on the highway could see them, a big white box shining, and possibly steal them or whatever. So I just camouflaged them where they wouldn't catch their eye.
You see Blaine's comment here. A friend of my wife is vegan and her husband would tell a joke. How do you know if someone is vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. And I bet you that guy's friend was trying to trigger him too when he said, look, they got honey, you know, just trying to.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have, well, that's the beauty of my situation. They have to actually stop for it here. So I don't get vegans.
I wanted to show y'all something here. I
The
got
way you
aggravated the
said
other day
that.
when I got behind this truck. That kills bees too. They're supposed to be spraying by the bridges. I followed him for 2 miles like that.
They did that
From
here.
What's that?
They did that here too, right across the street from my colonies. I was so mad.
I got behind him about 2 miles from my beehive, my bee yard, and followed him for about 2 or 3 more, and he hardly ever shut it off. He sprayed the whole way. He's supposed to be just spraying. That's to kill trees. He's supposed to be just spraying where the bush hogs can't get to. I think I'm gonna turn him in.
Now, in your state, do you have to register with the Department of Agriculture that you have bees out there?
Yeah, but that doesn't have. That's usually for mosquito spraying. But these guys are spraying to keep down bushes and stuff around the bridges where it's too boggy to mow.
Right.
But it still kills bees. I had
Yep.
5 hives killed 2 years ago from a guy spraying a field right next to my bees, killing the little yellow flowers that were out there he didn't want.
That's what they did. So my side of the road in front of the house is county land. The other side is city land. The city side was all sprayed, that ditch. So all the goldenrod and everything that grows in that ditch all the way down the road was killed. And our side wasn't. But the bees don't know no better, right? So the bees are going to fly over there.
Yeah, you was asking as far as Joey's state. I mean, he's in Louisiana like I am. Here, even if you have one hive just as a hobbyist, you still supposed to register your hives.
Yeah, in Maryland, we have a registration, but there's no fee to it yet. But
Well-
we also have and this is volunteer. You can register. There is a mapping system, and it's for sprayers and stuff where you can register your hives and their location, and they're supposed to look at this map to see whether or not they can spray in the area and stuff like that. And
3 miles
I
away.
forget who was funding it or whatever, but nobody's going to do this and that. Well, the beekeepers are overwhelmingly using this tool and stuff.
I'll show you this here for Louisiana anyway.
But Robert, what are they spraying the beans for? Is it a herbicide?
Louisiana, 1 to 10 colonies. If you're a Louisiana resident, it don't cost you anything. If you're outside the state and putting bees here, it's going to cost you. But the most you're going to pay as a resident is $50, and that's if you got 501 or more hives.
Yeah, they don't have that here at all.
And that's
Yeah,
a hard
Ohio,
copy you have to send in.
Say that again, Joey.
That's a hard copy you have to send in. You can't do it online yet.
Yeah, you
Well-
have to fill that out and mail it in.
I talked to the guy about a month ago. He said they're actually working on an online way to do it.
Yeah, actually, mine will be coming to me in the mail, and what I can do is I can fill it out and then scan it and then email it to my state apiarist.
Over here, the fee is a $24 flat fee. no matter how many hives you have.
Now, Pennsylvania, I know they charge so much a hive, or if it's over so many hives, it's so many per 10 hives or something like that.
Ohio charges $5 per property you got hives on.
Mm.
Flat
See.
fee.
Let me answer this question. Yeah, Malcolm, I did buy queens from Cutix in the past. I mean, they did okay. I mean, there wasn't really anything extra special about them. I mean, but when you call them, they'll say, "Oh, this is a." They called it the Cutic K9, and he showed me a video of his of a bee like carrying off a hive beetle out of the colony and stuff like that. And you know, he showed me a video of on his phone of them bringing the like a larva that had a mite on it, and they were tearing that thing apart. So I saw some of that stuff, but on videos. But to be honest with you, I didn't notice them doing that in my colonies. They were just regular old bees. So last year, we went to just getting queen cells when we went down there, and I don't know, it was weird for him this year because they didn't have really excess queens. I'm not a guy that's buying hundreds and hundreds of queens at a time. So I don't have a high priority on their list, right? But if I call them and tell them I need some cells, he's like, "Oh yeah, we got cells, come on down." And he hooks me up. So he's only an hour away from me in the summertime or springtime, and then they move back up to New York. So,
I can't find my other paperwork, but as far as like our registration, you get a sticker for each one of your apiaries that basically you're supposed to put in the apiary, so it has your registration number. That way, if they drive by, they know who that yard is registered to. And then they give you basically a state certificate saying, according to the state of Louisiana, you are allowed to do business as a beekeeper.
we don't have a fee here to register. The only thing we're supposed to do here is send in a copy of our honey labels. But we don't have a fee yet. Oh yeah, they've got a ton of bees over there. I'll try to do a better video if I go in the spring again, which I've gone the last 2 years. So probably we'll do a video down there this year. A better one than I have in the past. You see, yeah. Yeah, I just sent him a plain old mason jar. Here's my label. Just says Mason on it. Ball. Something like that. So I did start. So this year I'm noticing, and I might have to market it different, but I noticed that people are buying the pint jars well more than they're buying 1 pound jars. This year for me, and it's not a bad thing. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to change up my bottling or whatnot. I kind of like the bigger amounts because they're paying the same amount for honey, same price for honey by the pound, and I have to buy less jars to do it. So I do kind of like that.
Yeah, I used to pack those tiny 4-ounce hex jar. No, not anymore. Not worth the effort.
Well, the only thing that I'm putting in the small hex jar right now are my hot honeys, because I needed something that was about a half a pound, and then I could charge them 1 pound prices on the half pound jar for specialty honey, so it basically doubles the price of the honey. Nobby, I'm going to Nobby. Everybody here is probably going to Nobby, except Alex. Todd's it's a cook night for Todd. Brad's got a meeting tonight. And Chris, the bug man, he sells his in the mason jars with the handles on them like glass. I haven't booked a hotel room yet, so I don't know where I'm staying yet.
Bob waiting till the last minute again. They're gonna be sold out.
I've got tickets. That's all right.
Hey, Lee, there's too many hotels around that place.
I don't know. You got to think they got what 2,500, 3,000 tickets.
4,000?
About
Yeah.
2,800, I think.
Yeah, but
Hotels
Louisville
usually go
handles
quick.
those big
Y'all remember-
cattle expos.
You
where
remember what I told you when I looked
Huge.
online at that hotel?
Mm-hmm.
We found one room. Did you hear that story I told about that?
Mm-hmm.
When I bought my tickets, I went online the next day. I wanted to talk to Mike Berry and see where all they were staying, and they're staying right there at the hotel. So I said, I'm gonna go ahead and book me a room there. And I went online at the hotel, and it said, I put in the code and everything. It said, we found one room. My wife told me, you better jump on that. So I did. And I got to thinking about that. I went back about an hour later and searched it again. Said, we found one room.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to
next
get you to
day-
buy it.
The next day, I did the same thing. I punched in the code and said, we found one room. So they do that to make you hurry, get on it and buy it. So you might find one room.
Let me see. Louisville, Kentucky.
Bob spent his money gambling last weekend.
Yeah, it's got to resave.
I got to see if I'm going to do it like I did last year. I came up on win.
That Crown Plaza, it seemed like all the speakers and stuff are supposed to be there.
The only thing that I did like about being in Sevierville, staying at the place where the conference was being held, was just convenient, just to walk out your room and go right into the conference hall.
Yeah.
They've got, and the rooms are not cheap in Louisville. I thought it would be cheaper in Louisville than
They were a week before he announced it. Once they announced it, it went up good $20-$30.
I stayed in this right here last year. This is where I was at. I was about a mile down the road from where it was held.
You gonna do that again this year? No, you got the hotel room.
I got the hotel.
So I see some for 124, 139, 118. Hyatt 105. But just down the road, if I can't find a room there, it'll be fine, because just down the road there's a Harrah's. There's a Harrah's in about 20 miles away. The F-250 sleeps pretty good. My wife wouldn't care for that, though. Not at all. Not at all. So 1-pounders were the best one in the grocery store, huh? Only $2,500 a night. That's it. That's about right. Of course, they'd be tied up, and I'm not going to stay there for a whole week before the conference on that one. Yeah, I guess if there's one negative, I mean, Louisville is
Fast Louisville.
It is, I guess, more of the bigger facility from what I gather, but I would much rather still have stayed in Sevierville myself, but it nothing to do with conferences or anything. I just like the area, and it's close for me. Now I've doubled the travel time to get to the conference. And now
mine's been cut in half, more than half. Just the opposite.
Well, and then the other worry is that you remember when what was it? Not this past one, but the year before, they got hit with the snowstorm, and half the people were having a hard time getting there. And now they just moved the conference right to where the snowstorm is. So it's like you'd never know what's going to happen.
It seldom snows in Louisville.
Really? Doesn't snow
Yeah.
there?
Not very. May might get 1 or 3 inches once a year, twice a year at most.
Yeah, but you got people coming from the deep south, so even a half inch, they go nuts and they forget how to drive.
Which
Yeah.
hotel you staying at, Joey?
I'm right there where the conference is.
Oh, you're at the conference center?
Yeah. Whatever hotel that is, I don't
I was trying to see how many rooms they had left. See if they still got
One room.
One room.
They got
Oh,
one
about the
room.
Crown, it's a Crown Plaza.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I'm right
How
across
did,
the street.
did
at the
they
Hilton
come out?
Garden.
And I guess that was what the ones that were listed on the website. I guess that's why everybody's going there.
Crown Plaza. Let's see how many rooms they got left. Nope, we are sold out for that weekend.
Hope they didn't sell my room.
They probably double booked it.
Yeah.
What day y'all heading up there?
I'm probably going to go on Wednesday.
I think that's when I'm going.
I'll be up there Tuesday.
But they're not having the same thing. I mean, I guess they kind of are. But remember last year they had the meet up on Thursday. So everybody came in and set up Thursday morning. And then Thursday evening, they kind of opened the showroom, if you will.
Yeah, but
Well,
now
we
it's
done the meet and
Thursday
greet that-
afternoon.
Yeah. Now I think this one, I'm going up there Tuesday because we'll be setting up Wednesday, and I think they're gonna do some type of little meet and greet. Don't quote me. Wednesday evening, just a little quick thing, and then Thursday morning, if you got any setup left to do, you finish your setup, and then they'll start the conference.
And then it's supposed to open up at 1:00, isn't it?
I believe so.
Well, is that Wednesday evening or Tuesday evening a private meet and greet or what?
That I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I don't know. You know, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. We'll see each other and be like, "Yeah, let's go out to eat," and then we just all end up together. I don't really.
I don't know. For me, it's like
Expectations from any big beekeepers to be like, "Hey, Bob, you to come eat with us?" You know, so it'll just be the guys that hang out all the time, right? The
Like
chief,
they tell you they wouldn't eat after they get back.
right?
Yeah,
Oh, we all got together and went to eat. Oh, okay. I
I'm
was
eating
hungry.
at the rooster with the dirt rooster.
Do what?
So I'm
Me?
eating at the rooster. It's a chicken
the rooster.
place with the dirt rooster.
They've got rooms. I mean, I've seen 118, $91. They look, you know, the pictures always look good online, and then you get there and they're like, maybe not. I mean, they've got 100, 120, but you know, they always say, oh, it's $103 a night. And then you get there and it's like, oh, but you got to put an extra $100 for incidentals, and like incidentals, you don't even have any incidentals in the hotel. I mean, in the rooms.
You see what Clay said? Clay said that Cayman said they still had some rooms.
well, they were talking about that on Cayman's thing that I was listening to, and he said he was going to have to call him because the website they said they were sold out.
Right. Well, you're staying at the Hilton Garden, Charlie?
Yeah. I'm up there with Lee and Steve.
See, my thing is the reason I wait to the last minute. Last year was a different thing, but right now this is what I plan to do. But with my mom in there,
All right, there's Hallelujah there.
yeah, the crown. That's Hallelujah, not Hallelujah. You made it sound like it was Fallujah.
Hallelujah.
According to Charlie, he may be on the Pacific coast.
The Pacific coast. The Pacific coast.
Like
That's
Uncle
funny.
Si, huh? Pacific.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I gotta definitely make sure it's always game time decision on whether or not I'll have someone to watch mom. You know.
Are you driving, Lee?
Yeah, I'll be driving again. I think
No,
I looked at it. It's really about the same distance for me to drive from here to Louisville, however you want to say it, as it
Louisville.
was to drive to Sevierville. Because instead of going up and hitting 40
Yeah.
and going across and then back down, I'm almost going straight up to it.
Yeah. My main concern is like it says, Google Maps says it's about 9, well, let's say 10 hours, but for me, it's like, okay, you got pit stops and food, and you lose an hour or two right there. So you're looking at 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
I'm figuring 11 to 12
maybe I
for me.
need to start on a Tuesday and go halfway or better. And then I've got it booked for a Wednesday night.
Actually, it's an hour closer than Biloxi was to me by Google Maps. So
I was thinking about taking my wife's van up there, but her and my granddaughter's a dancer in school, and she's in competition also, and they won some kind of competition, and she's getting to go to Disney World at that same time. So I'll be driving that big F-350 all the way up there.
burning the fuel.
I was about to
I
say,
know.
I hate to see your fuel bill.
I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to close my eyes when I stick that credit card in.
And just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. My drive time is in minutes.
Yeah, your little 90 minutes.
Maybe even less if I push it.
Now,
I
me
might
and
get
Renee,
my buddy to fly me up there. He might just fly me and drop me off, and if I need to go anywhere, I can get one of y'all to take me somewhere.
she gonna drive by real fast and tell you tuck and roll.
Put you out the door.
But
That's right. Well, you know what, Joey, the property there has an RV. Parking right there on the property at the conference center. You could literally stay at the hotel without staying in the hotel.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Just me driving that truck up there is probably going to cost me. It'll probably get at least 15 to 16 miles a gallon on the interstate. But if I pull this rig up there, it's going to be 7 miles a gallon.
I'm getting 33 to 35.
It's going to be we're going to see, because not only that, but I'm supposed to go in February to Canada. So it's expense.
Where are you going to be in Canada?
Winnipeg.
Oh, that's a bit far.
Manitoba Beekeepers Association meeting.
are
So
you doing tabs or what?
yeah, so as a vendor, it's not like, trust me, they're not asking me up there to speak on any topics. That's not happening. but yeah.
Maybe you see Boris up there and talk him into coming down.
With the Boris has the hive lifters, right?
Right.
The funny thing is, Brad asked me about it, and I said, yeah, I'd be interested in coming. And then it was, oh, wait a minute. When in February? Because I'm already thinking,
February.
In February, it's like, well, it's 24th and 25th, I think, or 23rd and 24th. I'll have to look back at the dates. But I'm like, wow, we're getting ready to split. And they're all still frozen in the barn. I'm like, I gotta get back down here and do the work. put the work in. So, but we're gonna do it. I don't have warm clothes to go up there. I have to like buy a jacket, like a legit jacket to keep the heat in. So it's gonna be interesting times. Let's see. Let's see. Don't everybody speak at once. It's not like we're live or anything.
I was running through the
Are
comments here.
Everybody
I
reads.
was reading.
We're all
reading Sam's
reading.
reaction.
I went to Carhartt.
Oh,
store
I know
one
what I
time.
want to ask you, Bob. You were sorry, Joe. I didn't
That's
step
okay.
on you. Go ahead, Joey.
It's talking about that he's gonna have to buy winter clothes. I bought Carhartts one time. A guy talked me into buying the Arctic line. It's supposed to be the best cold weather.
Yeah.
And I bought the general line, and I bought the Arctic line, and I never could find anywhere in the U.S. cold enough to wear that Arctic line. I had to come out of it. It always
A
got
little
too
too
hot.
warm, huh?
Yeah, I'd always have to unzip the jacket and just about pull the coveralls off.
You were down there where you were at last week, and you were next to that microbial thing. Did you get any real insight of what that stuff's supposed to do?
Well, it's a microbial to help with the gut health of the bee and help them with their food absorption. So specifically like nosema issues and live bacteria. So I'm learning more about it, guys. I'm learning more about it. I got a ton of, I probably got 20 emails from them today. So hopefully here soon we'll be able to maybe have some of those guys on to talk about the product.
Yeah, I was just, Benny was getting into that and all that stuff. And I was just kind of curious of exactly what it, am I going to see something visual if you used it, as far as any benefit?
Well,
like Apis?
Well, it's got Apis in it, part of it. Some of it has Apis in it. So you're getting the same benefit and some additional benefits from it. So that's good. It's going to be one of those things that, you got to, I hate to say do your own research because everybody does their own research, right? So I show a colony where there's 1,000 mite drops from an Appy tablet. And everybody's like, let me get one of those. I want to see if it works on my bees. Well, your bees are the same as my bees. They're just in a different location, right? It's like, it's going to work. But for some reason, we can request scientific studies and everything. But as beekeepers, we tend to still say, well, I'm going to take that home and I'm going to try it on my bees, see how my bees like it. Because my bees are different than all the other bees. It's just, we tend to do our own thing. And then like everything else, Charlie, you look at nutritional supplements for bees, and this is any of them, guys. A lot of it is speculation, right? So when I say speculation, you put it on there and what is, well, my bees look great. What the hell does that mean?
Well, that's what I say.
My bees look great, right? Everybody, well, I put it on my colony and my bees look great. Well, did they have was it a good year? Did you replace the queen? Is it a brand new queen? Or did you become a better beekeeper? So what I was told this past weekend from Mehmet was 40 to 140 degrees, no problems with it. The scientist word only holds so much weight with me after the last few years. So, so that's the thing. It's like, yeah, with the scientific studies and all that, I get it, man. I understand why people want those things, but then they get home and it's like you're still taking the word of somebody else. And then you get that item and you're like, well, I'm going to try it on my bees and see how it works. Well, which is it? Are you listening to the scientists? Or are you trying to prove it for yourself? Or what's the deal? Now, I can say when I bought Apis was purely the first time because Ian was using it. And in my mind, he wouldn't have bought it if he didn't see some results, right? He wouldn't have spent the money to do that. So that's where I started. And then after that, it went to seeing the results, right? Like you did, Charlie.
Well, that's what I say. I mean, I can say that with Apis Biologic in my sugar water that I seen the results of it come this spring, where I fed them last winter, this time last year, and when this came out in the spring, they were like triple the amount of bees in them hives that I've ever seen, and triple the amount of brood frames in them hives, and that stuff works. That stuff is not snake oil or anything like that. Or all this other stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't see any remarkable differences.
Well, I mean, like the honeybee healthy and all that stuff. I hate to name names of products, but that's the only way I know to explain what I'm talking about, right? So I've used that's not really the honeybee healthy, but I've used Pro Health before, and I've used some brood booster.
I can tell you about Pro Health. Pro Health versus honeybee healthy. Pro Health, it's just like what's his name up in Pennsylvania there that's going to be at the conference. Dunn. He had an experiment 6-7 years ago. Bees don't like Pro Health at all. That you put in your sugar water. I think it's from Man Lakes.
Supposedly it keeps it from fermenting, is what everybody's saying.
I don't have that problem. I don't understand that issue because
I try not to mix more than what I'm going to use. So
yeah, I mean, I mix up 40 gallons. It takes 40 gallons for that row of hives behind me to get filled on the top hive feeders. And 6 to 8 hours later, the feed is in the hive.
Right.
You know, it's gone. It's done. You know, there is no, I mean, I'm not trying to hold sugar water over, especially in the summertime. You're not going to be feeding in the summertime. If you got it out in the hot water, or I mixed some sugar water up in the house here and put it in quart jars where I was kind of spot feeding. And yeah, you'll get that bacteria starting to grow in the sugar water.
So I saw Bruce Brown put up a comment that his bees aren't eating the tablets. Well, there's a couple things, right? Depending where you're at, do they have a nectar flow coming in? I mean, because they're always going to pick the natural first, right? And when I fed mine, we were having a dearth. So that was like what they got. But I also was feeding with the jar on top, so they didn't take it down as fast as they probably should have. I mean, that original colony that I show in the videos that I'm calling Ground Zero, it still has half. I say half. It's got pieces of the first one in there, and I put another one on there afterwards. So when they don't have anything to forage and they're hungry, they're chewing on it. But I've got some colonies that are the same way. You know, they have excessive honey stores or fresh nectar that's coming in, and they're not really messing with it that much. They are chewing on it. I mean, I put 2 in and they've eaten one of them type of deal, but they're not really just going to it like it's a block of sugar or something on it. But if they're hungry and you let them eat it, it will have effects. And it doesn't hurt anything to stay in there. So if it takes them till the middle of winter to eat it, then it's still working. Give them time, Sharon. They're gonna go to them. Let's see. Yeah, none of them. None of them do. Okay, so it's 1 tablet per box. So 13 highs, 4 of them are singles. So that's 4, and that means you got 9 doubles. That's 18. 4 and 18 is 23. So you would need 23. Yeah, it's 80% sugar. They're going to eat it when they get around to it.
Yeah, that's what I figure. Hey, everybody, I'm stepping out. So
All
everybody
right.
have a good night.
You
Have a
too.
good one, Tom.
Later. Yeah, it's getting close to 10 o'clock here in the next 4 minutes. That's usually when
Yeah.
we wrap it up.
I get up so darn early.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Good night. But the I don't know. It's a little bit different here for us. So we'll every area is going to be different, right? When they have nectar flows, when they don't. Bruce, where are you located, sir? That might have something to do with it. I know Todd out in California has had good success. People in Indianapolis there, Morgan, he's got him on his and he's having good success. So, and the other thing is with the timing right now, if you're feeding, they're going to take that feed in, so it slows it down a lot. That's for sure. Lee, how you feeling?
Tired. Wore out. No, I mean, even if they, like you say, if they're not eating them, they are still in there, and that thymol is still kind of circulating through that hive. So, I mean, you are still getting those good side effects.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is that the product is designed, it's the only one that I know of that's on the market that they actually have to chew it up and eat it. Yeah, it does. You can smell the scent on it, right? So I'm not saying that nothing's happening from off-gassing, but the way they describe it is that the bees are ingesting it with the sugar, and then the mites are ingesting it from the bees, right? So then it kills the mites and the mites fall off. Let me see. Yeah, they will get to it for sure.
Yeah, Bruce said he's in Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get to it. If you got anything blooming or if you're putting feed on them, it's going to really slow it down. But what do you say, Lee? We wrap it up for tonight.
Sounds fine to me.
And, you know, there'll probably be 37 more lives this week. You know, I did one in the middle of the day today.
Yeah,
I was like,
saw that. I was
let
in the bee yard when you did that. I wasn't able to get on.
I was like, well, let me see what's you should have went on live from your phone in the bee yard so we could have saw what you was doing.
I didn't see it after the fact. That's what it was.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all have been paying attention or catching them or not, but Ricky Rourke with Horizontal Bees has been doing a live. He's trying to do them about once a month on Thursdays.
Okay.
So he's done 2 so far.
I've seen one of them where they were sitting in there and they have that. Is that observation hive a hive that moved into their house that they just?
I believe he had put a little access hole in, and he just got it framed out, and it's got plexiglass over the front of it. And then, I mean, it's just an observation hive basically in his kitchen.
Nice.
But yeah, he's just doing a live, basically talking to different beekeepers around the country, horizontal bees. He's going to do some top bar hives, just all different people. But he's trying to do it about once a month.
Horizontal Bees. Well, it's Horizontal Bees. That's his YouTube channel as well.
YouTube Horizontal Bees.
So it's but anyway,
Had a good one last week.
He had a good one last week. I'll have to go back and look for it.
Yeah.
I was unplugged fully last week.
I just dropped this channel link in the comments there.
Cool. Check it out. Check it out for sure. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. It's 10 o'clock. We've been going for we started late because we only been going an hour and 55 minutes, but you know, it's that kind of time of year where not that much is happening too. So we'll get stream team tomorrow night, and then 37 more for me this week, and Charlie on Friday night.
Yeah.
Tim and Hannah on Sunday night. You notice I haven't been doing No Mite Monday. Been kind of taking the Monday off right now, so we just don't have enough content for 6 nights a week, so we had to cut it back to 5 nights a week and an afternoon stream. All right, guys. Well, everyone have a good evening. We'll see y'all next time.
Y'all have a
Good
good one.
night.
Thank y'all for
Hey.
showing up.
Good night.